Oh, good morning, Mike. How are you?
Justin, good to see you. How are you?
I'm excellent. I've got this amazing sunlight streaming into the studio today that I haven't quite kind of blocked out, so it's reflecting off things. Uh, but it's
It
good.
is
I'm looking
very
forward to
angelic.
today's session.
It'll be good. Yeah, I'm excited. I've had a few messages from people who are looking forward to it, which is always good to hear. And I can see that they're trickling in now, which is very, very exciting.
We had almost
What
100 people
I'll
register for this session.
100. I mean, that's how popular this topic of AI is at the moment, right? And I think for so many people, it's just working out where to begin with this topic that we're hearing spoken about in so many different conversations now. So that's the big thing for today. While people are coming through, we have a chat function on this. So feel free if there are any questions that are really top of mind and you want to make sure that we cover over the next hour, you're more than welcome to start putting those into the chat and then we'll address it throughout. But don't worry, if it comes to you partway through, just drop it in when you think of it. We will have a Q&A session at the end as well.
Absolutely.
I can see we've got a few folks coming through, which is really, really cool to see.
Cool.
All right, we're probably good. Like I said, please feel free to keep any questions coming through in the chat function. We'll monitor that the whole way through, and yeah, we really want to make this work for you. So let's talk about it. Good morning and welcome. I am really excited for this conversation that we're going to be having today. Myself and Justin. It's really, really good to have all of you here as well for our AI 101 session. Let's put AI to work. My name is Mike Jones, and I run a company called Gathered Minds, which is all about the human side of learning. How do we help businesses grow by developing people, help them find their learning mojo on a day-to-day basis? And when I go out and talk to people, both work professionally, but also in my personal life as well, one of the big things that I'm hearing in almost every conversation is about AI. And I think for a lot of people, there's a good mix, right? You have a bunch of people who have an idea of what AI is, but then you've got a huge group of people who are hearing others talking about it, and they're worried about, what does this mean for me? Have I missed the point where I can jump in and start learning about all this? Is the question moving too far? And the whole point of today's session is to say it is never too late to jump on board. This is a relatively new tech that's evolving all the time. And so for today's session, we really want to make sure that you come out of it feeling inspired or knowing where to go next to start experimenting and figuring out what AI means for you and how you can use it. I'm calling myself an AI enthusiast. I've been playing around with a few tools, but I'm absolutely still on the learning journey myself. And I thought, while I'm learning, why not reach out to an absolute expert to kind of do the bulk of the teaching and the insights in this session. And that's where Justin comes in, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. So Justin, I'll hand to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, and good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all here. If this is the first time that you're joining us on the New Zealand AI Academy for a webinar or workshop, welcome. So I founded New Zealand AI in 2017. We're 8 years into this now. We launched pre-generative AI, pre-ChatGPT, and very much still exists for the same reason, which is to help business leaders, business professionals, people like you understand why, where, and how to be leveraging artificial intelligence. We do a lot of public speaking at conferences. We work with executive leadership teams on strategy and use cases and operations. And we do a lot of practical skills-based training, especially through our academy. So, yeah, great to have you here, and looking forward to the conversation today, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I think that's the approach, right? Is it is a conversation. So as I said before, and some of you might have missed it, we really want to hear what your questions are about AI and make sure that this works for you. So keep the questions coming through the chat as you think about them. But this session today is really to demystify what AI actually means and how you can use it in your roles. And so what we're going to do today is really start with the basics around what the journey is so far to get us to this point that we're all talking about it. We're going to look at a few different ways that you can use it at work. We're going to look at a few of the tools that are available that you can pretty much start using straight away. And we're going to look at how AI became the go-to conversation topic. From a, I guess, housekeeping point of view, you'll see that this is recorded, so you're going to be able to come back and view it later if there's any insights that we deliver that are really, really valuable for you. And I'm sure that there will be something for everyone there. But don't worry, we're not going to ask anyone to be coming on screen and discussing, so you can relax, make sure you've got a cuppa, and like I said, put anything you're thinking into the chat function. So that's what it's about. Today is all about giving you confidence and curiosity. If you leave this session today with a light bulb going off or with a spark that you want to go and try something new, I think we've done our job right. And we'll hopefully address some of your concerns along the way. And I know that there's lots of questions out there about what does this mean to me from a security perspective? Is AI coming for my job? All sorts of worries that are out there, and we kind of want to remove any worry as well, because AI is a really exciting new tool. And my personal perspective on this is that it frees us up to do the stuff that makes us tick as humans. It lets us be more creative. It lets us have some fun and be innovative. And it takes care of the things that we wake up in the morning and go, oh, I really don't want to do that. So that's today's session. It is going to be really fun. I imagine it's going to go really quickly. And on that note, I am going to throw back to the expert, Justin, to kick us off.
So yeah, it's crazy to think that anyone on planet Earth can walk around with a super intelligent, know-it-all digital assistant in their pocket for free today. I think it's pretty remarkable. It's probably maybe bigger than the launch of the internet, and it is changing really quickly, right? And this is where a lot of that kind of anxiety and concern comes in, is because the pace of change is so rapid. And we published research earlier this week that the capability of artificial intelligence is doubling every 7 months. So there's a lot to keep up with. So how have we got to where we are today? In 1956, Alan Turing and his band of merry men at the Dartmouth University over in the UK formalized AI as an academic discipline, with researchers coining the term artificial intelligence. Through around 1974 to 1994, we had these AI winters where governments and companies kind of reduced the research. We didn't have enough data. They weren't getting the results. And then in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeats chess champion Garry Kasparov, showcasing computational decision making. And by 1997, we're starting to kind of get more data being created. And those sorts of things as we start having the internet and growing with our digital platforms. In 2014, Amazon Alexa popularized voice-activated AI assistants. In 2022, and it's only been since 2022, October 22, ChatGPT publicly released ChatGPT 3.5. And that raised global interest in what we now know as large language models, despite many concerns around hallucinations and copyright, of which those concerns still raised today. In 2025, generative AI tools can create text, audio, images, and video content that's indistinguishable from previous production quality, right? It's pretty remarkable what we can create today at scale. So what's the difference? We kind of look at this kind of pre and post Gen AI kind of era, right? And so kind of look at that as that, October 22 kind of benchmark. And certainly when we were working with companies, back in 2017, 18, corporates were building chatbots back then based on structured data sets, right? So they'd have a spreadsheet of if this keyword, then give them this answer. And so it's very much structured data using machine learning and natural language processing. And with generative AI, we can provide a tool with all sorts of different types of content that is unstructured data. It can be images, text, audio, video, PDFs, spreadsheets, all sorts of data that the AI system will synthesize and use to form its responses to questions, right? So the search for information, well, firstly, we've all had to start a task looking at one of these, right? And you kind of get a bit of mental block, and you spend your time trying to figure out, so what information do I need to get this job done, to complete this task? And for many, that starts with asking a colleague, where's the information on this project? Can you give me a report on X, Y, Z? Or asking an industry expert, hey, do you know what happened here? What's your advice on something particular? You might go out and get a consultancy to do some research on potentially a new market that you want to do business in, or what's the opportunity for this new product or service, or you might ask Google, right? And of course, when you ask Google, you get back over 1 billion pages, 1 billion search results. And it seems a bit funny these days for Google to think that anyone's going to scroll through that. But you go through the first page of Google to find the information from the different websites that you need to answer your question or get the job done, right? And it's time consuming to create that blended search result. And you're only getting what Google thinks is at the top. And so this is the old way of working, this manual way of curating knowledge that's out there. Because in 2022, AI woke up. And now we have these answer engines like ChatGPT and Perplexity, Google Gemini and Claude from Anthropic. And you can ask any one of these AI chatbots any question you like. And I guarantee they'll give you an answer that's as good, if not better, than anyone on this call could answer. And I think that's really remarkable, right? And it's taken years of research to get where we are today, and yet we're very much at the beginning of this. And so these tools have been, OpenAI, they've scraped the internet. They've scraped of all the public information that's available, pretty much to create a large language model, an AI model, a generative pre-trained transformer. It's a prediction engine. It's predicting the next word in the sentence based on what it's seen before. Now on top of that training model, they have access to web search. So they can go out, search the web and find information and bring it back, and use the model to synthesize that, to contextualize that back into a response that's more targeted or relevant to you. And so this is Perplexity. This is one of my favorite tools. I use it all the time. And it creates a blended search result. Now, Google Gemini, ChatGPT, and of course, Claude from Anthropic, they all now have web search, right? And of course, you've got Copilot from Microsoft Copilot as well. So they all have web search. So they're all creating a blended search result tailoring the response to the query that that you get.
Hey, Justin, on that note, gotten a really good question through from Pamela about the web search, and in particular, there are lots of AI overviews at the moment where you Google something or you check with one of your tools, and it kind of provides a summary of what's on that particular website. What specifically do website owners need to do to make sure that their information is being presented correctly and the AI tool is understanding them and representing them effectively? I think we've all seen those Google overviews that pop up at the top of a search that get a little bit confused. So yeah, what can people do?
Great question. Love it. SEO. So SEO is not going to go away. It's hugely important, right? So there's things like making sure that you've got short and long form content on your website. Making sure that, if you've got maybe a long form article that's, discussing how your product or service or solution solves a customer problem, that you've got your hrefs, so your title references, clearly mapped out so that the AI tools know exactly what's a title, what's a paragraph, what's a summary. And it is good to have a summary of a long form article right at the top, so that you're giving the AI tool that summary rather than it having to go through and figure it out. So that will certainly help you. On your About Us page, just been thinking about the information that might come up in there. What are the questions that people might ask that AI might use content from your business or reference information from your business to answer that particular question, right? So make sure that you've got a really clear answer around who you are and what you do, what type of businesses get value from your product or service. I think is really key. Make sure that in the back end of your website that you've got you're allowing those AI search engine cookies and those sorts of things to be able to read your website. You don't want to block that. So of course we've got these AI these answer engines now that are able to pull in information. So we're making information instantly accessible, right? No one should be starting a task from scratch. If you're not using AI tools like this to get work done, you're probably not doing your best job today. This is going to give you bigger perspective. It's going to give you more context. They reference the sources of information. So where it's pulling all of that from, it's giving you links back to those websites so that you can go and check the source. And as you can see, they're annotated in there for all those particular quotes. If you're worried about hallucinations or accuracy, hallucinations are kind of like, when we muddle our words up from time to time, or we get ideas in our heads that are just not grounded in evidence. You can ask as part of your prompt for the AI tool to only suggest published sources as part of it, right? So we'll keep going. There are a number of different ways that businesses today are starting to use AI as part of and weaving it into their business, right? So the first one is search. As I've just demonstrated, making information instantly accessible. Now, what you're doing in terms of searching the web, trying to find information around, how to create a health and safety policy, or how do I draft an email for XYZ, your employees and your customers will also want the same from your website to learn about your business, right? So it's important that we make that information and make our content instantly accessible too. We want to be able to serve that up to people, right? So often that starts with a chatbot or a conversation agent where people can ask questions on your website via typing or voice, or maybe it's accessing it via a WhatsApp channel or a Facebook Messenger, to be able to get quick answers to questions, and we'll showcase some examples of that as well. You'll want to create content. You might want to create sales proposals or RFP responses or resource consent applications. We can now use AI tools to draft this content, to create presentations based on a web search or information that you have in your business. A spreadsheet of data can be turned into a dashboard really easily. And we want to enhance your business with artificial intelligence by giving you greater visibility over the data, the disparate data sets that you have in your organization. So companies will have documents, contracts, agreements, policy, products and services that they need to be making available. You'll have information about your people from an HR and skills and capability. You might have designs or reports and things like that you're doing. You might have machinery data coming in from machinery or sensors from around a plant. And of course, you've got performance and reporting and CRM and financial. And often these disparate data sets, these data sets are disparate. They're disconnected, right? And so that way, in order for us to create a blended search result of insights from around the business, it's a manual task of dropping into each of these tools and generating separate reports, and then someone's got to manually correlate all of that. And so what we're seeing now is companies starting to wrap artificial intelligence around their whole company tech stack, so that we can have Gen AI integrated right into it. Right? We won't go too deep into that today. But one of the outcomes for that is we can start doing some pretty clever stuff by integrating the data that we've got in the business. And so, using our company data, company information with AI tools to automate a process. And so in this case, we've been working with a property maintenance company, and they've got lots of contractors out in the market doing jobs. They have to remember a jobs code. Often they don't. Of course, the back office has to go through and clean up all of the paperwork on a daily, monthly basis. And so this type of chatbot system deployed through WhatsApp means that the back office has much less work to do and can focus on more higher value things. Couple of other examples. Mike Grant's got a good question. We're going to come to that soon. We're also seeing AI being used with computer vision, so teaching computers how to see. And in this case, it's being used in light industrial and manufacturing and warehousing type environments to monitor health and safety, to detect potential collisions. So we're reducing workplace incidents. It's not collecting any personally identifiable information or biometric data or any of those sorts of things. It's just looking at physical environment. But it's able to, ring alarm bells and stop machinery and things like that as well. So super, super useful. AI is not just ChatGPT. That's just a tiny fraction of capability when we start, thinking about things beyond that. This is one of the other tools that I love. You might have played around with this. This is notebooklm.google.com. It's free to use, and you can On the left here, I have got some sources of information. In this case, I've got long-term and annual plans for the Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch City Council. And it then provides a summary. And I've got a chat bot down here, a chat interface that I can ask questions. And Notebook LM will look to only the 3 sources of data that I've got in here to find the answer. If I want to explore this, I can actually create a podcast on the right here. It's American voices. I can customize it, but it'll actually create a podcast of 2 people discussing the content that you've uploaded in here. And you can upload PDFs or add website links and do all sorts of stuff in here. It's a remarkable way to leverage and understand content. I've got some prompts here which we can probably come back to, Mike, maybe at the end to get people going. But that's kind of, I mean, there is so much to talk about when it comes to AI today, and it, really, there's so many different tools, and we can talk about more tools like digital avatars and that, and creating video content and those sorts of things if you want to. My main piece of advice here is pick a platform, whether it's Perplexity, which is $40. Well, Perplexity is, you can use Perplexity for free or paid. Paid is $40 a month. ChatGPT is about the same, right? That even at the free level, they're ridiculously good. Like the amount, the capability and what you'll get out of it. So pick a platform, pick ChatGPT, and just start building your muscle memory around it. Build your AI muscle. Build some confidence around it. And I think let's come back at the end, Mike, on some prompts that people can take away and start using to build up their skills, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think as well, to touch on that point, that's one of the big things that I hear from people as well, is they try a tool once or twice and they don't quite get what they want. So they either aren't sure if they're using it right, or they don't quite realize how big the capability of these tools are. And so just to support Justin's point, if you do pick a tool, the best way to learn it is to keep trying it. If you ask something and you don't quite get what you want, that in itself is feedback. We can go, right, let's try rephrasing that prompt a little differently. Let's see what else I could feed it to try and get the answer that I'm really looking for. And I think the other thing, I always love seeing Notebook LM. That's become one of my go-tos, which was the tool we just looked at that generates the podcasts. What I find is if I've got a few really big documents that I need to look through, if I put it into Notebook LM, especially if it's publicly available information that I really want to kind of get a feel for when I'm researching a workshop, for example, I will listen. The podcasts tend to be about 12 minutes, and I'll take notes to the podcast because it's only pulling from the sources that you're putting into it. It's not making things up or doing web searches. And so if you're the kind of person who likes to learn through podcasts, that is an amazing tool. And it's
a great research platform, right? It's a really great research platform, right? And I mean, we're also using it as a way to build out a strategy center for companies, right? There's going to be tons of information that business owners, directors need to be able to absorb to make informed decisions on strategic direction for their business, right? And so we're starting to use tools like this for all of that public research to help inform that strategic decision making. So I really, we really like it, like this. This is, we've got some great questions. Let's come to them. This is Midjourney. This is text to image generation. You can literally type in a prompt up here. So imagine the Auckland, waterfront in 2050 on a clear summer's day, right? So I'm basic, like just single shot prompt in here. And, you know, we can come back to it briefly, but here we go. You know, it's 2025. I was going to put 2050. Anyway, there it is. Like, I don't know about you, but it's kind of like pretty good photo. Not that, I mean, it's, you know, it's creating it. It's not a mirror image. But anyway, for producing slide content and all that kind of stuff, it's incredibly good. So I just wanted to show you that as well. We've got plenty of other, we have plenty of webinars and workshops and things like that through the Academy with videos that you can watch on demand. And I'm going to be loading up a few more as well with these things. But right.
Cool. I think I realized as I was saying that thing about Notebook LM and uploading documents that it was going to trigger a couple of questions, and I can see it's actually very similar to one that's already been asked by Julia, which is just around the confidentiality and using this within your business. And I know lots of different companies have policies about what you can and can't upload to various platforms. Can you go into that a little bit more about the security side of things and what happens with your data?
Yep. So my general rule of thumb is if you're paying for a pro account or a paid subscription, most of the tools will not use your information to train the model, and that the data that you upload, you know, will not be used to train the data. In this case of Perplexity, they actually delete any files that you upload into their platform after 7 days. So I still wouldn't be uploading any data that contains highly sensitive intellectual property or personally identifiable information. But if you want to upload things around your SWOT analysis, some business strategy, some things like that, that you want to use AI to tear apart and to find opportunities in, then I think generally you're fine. So it's, again, degrees of trust. There are times when using a free ChatGPT account are absolutely fine, right? You know, create me an agenda for a health and safety training program, right? Like it's been done a gazillion times before. It's going to have high degree of accuracy, no problem, right? But I certainly wouldn't be uploading our CRM list to get insight. Like, no, of course not. So you want to be bringing AI to you so that you're working with your data and AI within your IT tenancy, within your company tenancy. And so there are tools like Microsoft Copilot for M365, where AI is then integrated into your, you know, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, so that you can use company data with AI in a safe space. And so that's generally, or you can be deploying, if you're a Google Workspace, you'll be deploying Gemini, and again, you'll be working with your data within your environment, right? Which is generally the best way to go, right? Yeah.
And I know that a lot of, especially larger companies, have developed AI policies internally, which do touch often upon the types of documents that you can upload to various platforms. If there's preferred platforms, they'll often refer to that. If you do have something like Copilot already existing within your tenancy, often it will kind of have slightly different rules because that's a bit more secure than uploading it to something online. So I think above what Justin just said as well, if you do have specific questions about specific documents and you've got an internal IT team or someone running AI within your company, check in with them because they'll probably have a really good idea as well. But I know that's a question kind of all over the place at the moment that companies are figuring out, is what does that security and data piece really look like? Something, and this, Justin, talks to the notebook LM piece, but it also, I think, talks to a wider question. Stephanie's asked a question about, does AI recognize the difference between an AI-generated podcast and a real person podcast? And I think to take that a step further, it talks to a question I've heard a few times of, as AI is generating more and more content, are our search results going to start skewing towards basically picking up the content that's been generated by AI rather than human generated content? Can you talk to that a little bit?
I don't know if we're going to know the difference between what's human generated or what's AI generated. I mean, even if you go and you read an article on the Herald, there's a chance that some of it's been written by AI. So, I mean, there's no, yeah.
It's interesting. And so this, obviously in my line of work, I'm keeping an eye very closely on sort of skills reports and what skills are going to be needed to the future. And while AI is top of most lists, what follows very closely behind it are things like critical thinking. And so I think for us as a workforce, being able to look at the source that information is coming from is going to be more important. And a lot of these AI tools do cite their sources. And so if you look at something and it seems slightly off, click into that source, see where it's coming from. But I think, you know, having that critical lens is going to become more helpful than it's ever been to make sure that we're getting that info from the right source. And I think that's why, you know, AI is a really good tool, but that human eye is always going to be so important for things like decision making and kind of using AI effectively.
Yep, absolutely.
And Justin, Mandy's asked a really good follow-up to that, which is extending on that. Do you think that there will be legislation to enforce watermarks or other identifying material?
Cat's out of the bag. It's too late. Trying to mandate that, I think, is just going to be impossible. I mean, we've seen a rolling back in terms of you know, some of the guardrails for AI in the US. You know, it really is the Wild West over there now. And, you know, there's, if you go and have a play with Grok, which is the AI tool that's part of X now, there are no guardrails, really. Like, you can ask it literally anything you want and it will probably do it. And so there are some, you know, ethical questions around, you know, what's appropriate, but, you know, who's to decide, you know, what these things are. So, yeah, I just think we've already got, you know, just so much content now that's synthetically generated. I don't think that really being, you know, having transparency around that or enforcing that it's just not going to happen, no matter how much people might want it. I still think, though, that if you're on a phone call, you know, we've now got AI callers, and so companies can use AI tools to call you to book an appointment or to answer your call. If you want to book an appointment at the dentist, you actually might get a AI receptionist asking that. I think in those cases, then it is important for the person to know, hey, I'm talking to an AI here. I think that's still useful and appropriate.
Yeah, and I know a lot of organizations are looking at things like ethics around AI, right? And, you know, that's a great example of if someone is interacting with AI. Yeah, absolutely.
Transparent, right? I wanted to, before we go to the next question, I just wanted to bounce out to one that Grant had earlier around AI agents, which I didn't talk about AI agents in the session before, but basically, agents are software tools that use your data with your process and large language models to automate previously manual things. So they can connect multiple different data sets or sources and channels of information and push things out. And so you can, one example might be you want an AI agent to monitor your accounts receivable inbox. And when an invoice comes in, automatically push that into Xero and pull out all of the right information, right? It's a manual task, and it's kind of easily, automated, right? It's just an example of the types of things we just don't have to do anymore in 2025, right? There's just a whole lot of tasks which just do not need to exist anymore. And that's really where we want people to start thinking about, how do we apply this into our business? It's like find those repeatable, tedious, manual digital tasks that people have to do all day. They just slow business down, right? And then just imagine, hey, if we had 2 to 5 hours a week of freed up time per employee, how much would that actually help your business to grow, right? What would you have them to do? How many extra phone calls could they do? How many more conversations with customers might they be able to have? Like the value they'd be able to create would be immense. So Grant asked for a couple of tools to have a play around with. I'm going to give you 3. The first is MindStudio. .ai, relatively simple to use. I've had some good success with this, kind of quite like it. A little bit more grunty is N8N.io, but still, you might want to have a few technical chops behind you to do this. And of course, good old Zapier. You can actually create little AI agents from text prompts, which is pretty handy stuff. Please be aware of the tools that you are connecting into these platforms, and what rights access, read-write access they have on your content. So just be conscious and make considered decisions around the types of tools that you are giving access to your personal or business accounts with things to be able to work with AI. I think it's really important. You don't want some random third-party tool integrated into your Outlook, and you happen to be sending, contracts or agreements, or you're sending, data with personally identifiable information. It's probably going to be able to read any of those attachments, right? So we just want to be conscious around making those decisions, right?
Nice. And I think that that conversation around different tools does lead really nicely into Rachel's question as well. And she talks about the fact that there are so many tools out there. And so you've got a task that you need to do. You go and you use a tool, you learn how to use it, and then you realize that perhaps it actually wasn't the right tool for the job, and there's something else that you could have been using. And, we've referred to a few different tools this morning. And so she's kind of asking, is there kind of a bullet point list or a directory of different tools for different functions and what they do? What's the starting point to make sure people are going to the right tool for the job?
So look, good question. The short answer is no, not. I mean, it's just changing so fast, right? On one hand, you've got tools. On the second hand, you've got large language models. But that problem will start changing. At 11:15 every Friday, we host an AI toolkit webinar where we demonstrate, showcase, and teach a couple of different ways that you can use AI for work. Basically, we'll actually walk through and demos. It might be, how to do advanced prompts for ChatGPT, how to create a digital avatar in HeyGen, how to do images in Midjourney. So that's a really great way to kind of discover some of the tools and the practical ways that people are using them. In the Academy, we also have the toolkit, which is a community resource where I'm sharing, a curated list of AI tools that I've tested or tried and experimented with. So I can talk to them about the value that they can add in. So you could go there for a list if you want to as well.
And what would be, if we've got people on the webinar today who are right at the beginning of their Gen AI journey, what would be the first tool that you would recommend that they start playing with and experimenting after today's session?
Go back to share my screen. So go and start with ChatGPT, right? If you can, like with ChatGPT, use voice mode. Talk to it. Have your phone on your dashboard in the car, or like just while you're walking the dog in the morning, turn on voice mode and start having a conversation. You're going to be blown away with how fluid that conversation will be. Voice mode on ChatGPT is really incredible. I can drive to Hamilton, it takes an hour and a half, give or take, and the whole time I can be having a conversation with ChatGPT. I can be asking questions, doing research, planning a session, doing whatever it is. I get to the hotel in Hamilton and it's got a complete transcript of the entire conversation. I think it's remarkable. Go and play around with ChatGPT. I encourage you to get the paid account purely because you can do a hell of a lot more. It's going to give you better results. And I've got some prompts here. We've got 10 minutes to go in our session, Mike. It has flown by. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 prompts in here to get you going, right? And we'll share these in the chat and follow up with everyone afterwards as well. So this is literally like you could copy paste these in, right? You're hiring a sales manager for your Auckland-based manufacturing business. What questions should a candidate ask that would really impress you? In this case, you're applying for that sales manager job, right? So getting it to give you cues around, how do I think differently about approaching this opportunity? You could be doing something as simple as create the agenda for a team building offsite day. Or you might want to get to research and get comparisons for CRM solutions for your business. Act as an experienced technology consultant. Find relevant case studies and summarize key insights with source links. Identify potential SaaS CRM solutions for a law firm with 20 staff and 10,000 contacts. And in table format, compare the strengths, weaknesses, and pricing for each. A year ago, you couldn't put multiple instructions in here. That third one, right? You've got, it's got 3 or 4 tasks to complete in that, right? A year ago, these tools just wouldn't cope with that type of prompt. The last one, visit your website, put your URL, HTTP, your URL in there. Summarize what we do and the value we provide customers. So it's going to learn about your business. We want to expand into Australia, whatever the scenario is. Identify potential competitors for us, and in table format, compare the strengths, weaknesses, target customers, and pricing for each. You are starting to build a go-to-market strategy. You are starting to build some market research. And doing this manually would, potentially take you a day, a few hours at least to do, right? So don't start a task from scratch. Use these AI tools to give you a leg up. Think about what you're sharing via documents in there. But even as an advanced search tool, even as a Google replacement, you're poking an elephant with a needle, but it's a great way to get started, right? It's super, super useful with them. I can go on. I want to go back to some of the questions that people had in here so that we're answering them. So back to you. back to you, Mike.
I think, yes, there's been some really good conversation going on as well. Obviously, globally, I think countries are thinking about what AI means for them from a legislative point of view. And Europe, Pauline's pointed out that they've got the AI Act, but I think the rest of the world is kind of figuring out what it means. And that was, coming back to that conversation that we were having earlier. I think there is still so much for us to learn in this space, right? Both from a regulatory point of view, but as you said, it is moving so fast.
Yep.
I think for us, from an individual point of view, the key thing is to keep learning, right? If we keep exploring what's coming out and staying as current as we can with it, that's probably the best thing we can do at an individual level. What's your take, Justin? Because this is a comment I hear. Yeah, absolutely. I hear quite a lot that people are unsure what this means for the future of work, and you get the ones who are going, "Oh, it's a bit of a fad." You get the other extreme where they go, "It's going to take our jobs, and we're all going to be unemployed." I kind of gave my thoughts on this earlier, where I mentioned the fact that I think AI is a brilliant tool for freeing us up from the stuff that was really time consuming, so that we can really thrive as humans. Yep. To do the stuff we love. But what's your take on what it means for the world of work?
My take is the capability of AI is doubling every 7 months. ChatGPT 2 in July 22 could do tasks that took humans 2 or 3 seconds. Today, Claude Sonnet 3.7 from Anthropic, which is an AI model, can do tasks that take humans an hour to do. In 5 years, if we extrapolate that out, AI is going to be able to do tasks that take a human a month to do. Already, there are tasks that businesses and people just don't have to do anymore because AI can do that as well as, if not better than you. This is just going to continue. There are going to be more and more things, tasks that we just no longer need to be doing in our day-to-day lives, and that is going to have a profound impact on our economy, on the skills that we need in our business, on the work that we do, right? And we need to be leaning into this now. We need to be building our AI muscle. We need to be thinking about how this changes what our career looks like, the way that we work, and how our businesses operate, right? So get on board with it. It might be that companies don't need 30 customer service people; they only need 5. That they don't need 15 project managers; they might only need 2. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to have swathes of the population left made redundant. It just means that we're going to have a restructuring. There's just going to be new skills that we're going to need people to do. And so it's not like we're all going to be sitting around at the beach doing nothing. Where humans want to be continually adding value and doing great things. And so we'll find those new opportunities which will evolve, and there'll be new skills and new tasks which haven't been created yet that we're going to need, capable people for. But focus on your domain knowledge. Think about where AI adds value to help supercharge your potential, and think about the impact it has on the business. Lean in, build the skills and capability, and build that sustainable training and education model so that your business continues to evolve, right? If you are not thinking about this now, if your business is not working on an AI strategy, then that's probably the biggest risk to the sustainability of your company in the next 5 to 10 years time. You have to adjust. And I don't think enough business leaders are really grasping that and the pace of change, and the impact it's going to have. And that's probably a topic for a whole nother webinar, Mike. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that was...
Yes, Mandy, the 4-day work week would be great.
How good.
But that's not going to solve New Zealand's productivity crisis, right? We actually need to use the tools so that we're freeing up people to do more higher value work, so that our productivity and our effectiveness goes up, and also job satisfaction as well, because we're not doing all of the shitty repetitive stuff that we get frustrated. I've got to write that darn board report again today, right? That's just, automate that stuff.
And I think that was absolutely the point that I was really keen for us to get to and end on, was talking about the jobs and the fact that humans have gone through several technological revolutions in the past, right? And what we do is we adapt, we use the technology to our advantage, and then new roles pop up that are a little bit more advanced. And you'll see that happening with this as well. My final kind of case study, because Justin mentioned it, is around customer service. And I was chatting to someone in the contact center industry recently who said, in a world where AI is going to handle your really simple interactions, it means that by the time something needs to get escalated to a human, there's probably a little bit more at stake. So they're really investing in the customer service skills and the problem solving skills. And it really frees up their customer service people to do the stuff that they do really well, while kind of removing a lot of the more admin-y sort of questions that they would have got. So I think that's your potential there. And it's
to spend time on customer problems that require more care, more empathy, thinking things through rather than the same frequently asked questions, right? How does AI me look? But that.
Is that AI? You're like the skinny ad. Amazing.
I think every company needs to have an AI ambassador, someone who is taking the lead, who can inform the practical and responsible use for AI at work. We are going to be running monthly programs, workshops on this, 2-hour workshops. So get on board, have a look at the sessions that we've got coming up around it. We can also come and do workshops for you in your business and help you identify where AI is going to offer the most ROI in your business. Recommend the tools and solutions. We can do training and workshops and the whole 9 yards round it. We've had some great questions today, Mike. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for teeing it up and suggesting it. Bloody great.
Thank you. So good. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in and asked your questions. I hope this has been really, really helpful. Like I said, this is designed so that if we get to this point and you're curious or you're excited or you want to go and ask questions, it's been a success. We want everybody to be playing in this space and learning what it means. So thank you very, very much for your time today, everyone. Thank you especially, Justin, for your expertise. And I have a page full of notes of things that I've learned. And I hope everyone has a really, really good day, and keep in touch with both Justin and I if you've got any questions or curiosities or anything. I think it's pretty obvious that we love to talk about it. So have a great day, everybody.
Nice one. Thanks so much. Much appreciation for all of you spending the last hour together. Have a fantastic day. This recording will be up on the website in about 10 minutes. Catch you later. Talk soon, mate. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.